Okay, now chapter 8. Very teeny tiny, little chapter. Okay. Chapter 8. Man in the car paradox. No one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. The best part of being a valet is getting to drive some of the coolest cars to ever touch pavement. Guests came in driving Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls Royces, the whole aristocratic fleet. It was my dream to have one of these cars of my own because I thought they sent such a strong signal to others that you made it. You're smart, you're rich, you have taste, you're important. Look at me. The irony is that I rarely, if ever, looked at them, the drivers. When you see someone driving a nice car, you rarely think, wow, the guy driving that car is so cool. Instead, you think, wow, if I had that car, I would, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. Subconscious or not, it's how people think. Here's a paradox, or there's a paradox here. People tend to want wealth to signal to others that they should be liked and admired. But in reality, those other people often bypass admiring you, not because they don't think wealth is admirable, but because they use your wealth as a benchmark for their own desire to be liked and admired. The letter I wrote after my son was born said, "You might think you want an expensive car, a fancy watch, and a huge house, but I'm telling you, you don't. What you want is respect and admiration from other people, and you think having expensive stuff will bring it. It almost never does, especially from the people you want to respect and admire you." I learned that as valet when I began thinking about all the people driving up to the hotel in their Ferraris, watching me gawk. Gawk. People must gawk everywhere they went. And I'm sure they loved it, but I'm sure they felt admired. But did they know I did not care about them or even notice them? Did they know I was only gawking at the car and imagining myself in the driver's seat? Did they buy a Ferrari thinking it would bring them admiration without realizing that I, and likely most others, who are impressed with the car didn't actually give them, the driver, a moment's thought? Does this same idea apply to those living in big homes? Almost certainly. Jewelry and clothes? Yep. My point here is not to abandon the pursuit of wealth or even fancy cars. I like both. It's a subtle recognition that people generally aspire to be respected and admired by others, and using money to buy fancy things may bring less of it than you imagine. If respect and admiration are your goal, be careful how you seek it. Humility, kindness, and empathy will bring you more respect than horsepower ever will. We're not done talking about Ferraris. Another story about the paradox of fast cars in the next chapter. But this chapter is probably a lot longer. Let me see. Yeah, it's about 15 pages. So it's a lot. Not that. Actually, I take it back. It's 5 pages. So we'll probably read 2 chapters tomorrow then, just to fill that space. But chapter 9 is called Wealth is What You Don't See. Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. So that last chapter, chapter 8, the man in the car paradox. Y'all ever see somebody pulling up in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? And you see those nice, fancy-ass cars, and you're like, ooh, that car is nice. There's somebody driving that, B. There's somebody driving that car. And we never pay attention to those people. But when you think about it, those people bought those cars to show off a lot of the time. Some people buy them because they're fast cars, but you can get a fast car that's not a Ferrari. You can get a fast car that's not a Lamborghini. We got them to show something. We got them to show something a lot of the times. So you end up not being noticed by the people who actually are around like on the outside looking in. So that's Psychology of Money. Then we have the 44 Laws of Peace. So we're on week 2 right now. And in week 2, the second law of peace says, strive to understand, not debate. Debate can be a healthy activity if you are engaging with someone who is open to reflecting on ideas with which they disagree. Unfortunately, most people are uncomfortable being challenged and, despite the best of logic, tighten their grip on their beliefs when threatened. This type behavior makes for a useless interaction, a lot of talking, and no listening. Instead, work to understand where the person is coming from, especially if it's a friend or a family member. For some, it's hard to listen to someone they disagree with without trying to convince that person of their own opinion. They must let you know that they are right and you are wrong, because otherwise it's a thankless way of engaging in conversations. No gotchas or I told you so's to feed their ego. And so tiny disagreements turn into huge arguments that could have been avoided if just one person works to understand the other. There is no need to debate over every disagreement. Pick your battles wisely. Most disagreements are over trivial matters that you don't need to fight to the death over. Instead of convincing someone that they're wrong, work to understand their thought process. Suspend your bias and try to see things from the other person's reasoning. Besides, if you're confident in your own reasoning, then there is no need to feel threatened or disagreed with when disagreed with. In fact, it presents an opportunity to test and strengthen your logic. Understand, if your goal is to convince someone of your position, you've already lost, because most can't be convinced they're wrong. Your goal, then, should be to understand their position. I mean, can you even be sure they're wrong without first understanding their reasoning? Go a step further and come together where you connect, and you will have won 2 times over. First, in better understanding your friend, and second, in keeping your sanity. Realize, too, that we are all guilty of being hard-headed at one time or another. Think about this the next time you're in a disagreement with someone. It's possible that you're the one being hard-headed. Okay, the second law of peace. 44 Laws of Peace. I have the 44 Laws of Peace and the Psychology of Money. Both of them are in my showcase on my profile. Feel free to slide over there. Definitely good reads. Definitely good reads for sure. I personally recommend. I definitely recommend. So yeah, that was chapter 7 and chapter 8 of the Psychology of Money, as well as the second law for the second week of the 44 Laws of Peace. Now we have a little bit of time. I'm a little early, so we have some time. We can fill the space with some stuff. We can talk about making money. Making more money on. So I'm trying to think, where's a good place to start with making money? Because, money be moneying no matter what. We can just go back over what we learned. We can absolutely just go over what we learned. And I could do some editing later, because editing must happen. Editing must happen. Freedom. Oh my gosh. You know how they say money can't buy you happiness? So here's what money can buy you, right? Money can buy you back your time. If you use money to buy back your time and you have control over your time, it can bring you a lot of freedom. And freedom, I feel like, will make a lot of people happier. I know freedom would make me happier. For sure. Having the time, having the space to choose what I want to do with my time. I think that's my biggest want and my craving. So, yeah.